Good morning or afternoon, and welcome to our second lesson of Chapter 10 as we talk more about making graphs. So, our essential question is,
how do you make a picture graph to answer a question?
We're going to learn more about that, so stay with me.
Aesop has 5 baseballs. He has 7 bats. Does he have more baseballs or bats? What do you need to find? You need to find if Aesop has more baseballs or bats. What information do you need to use? There are 5 baseballs and 7 bats. You can use counters to model the problem. Let's show 5 counters for the baseballs. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Aesop has 5 baseballs, so there are 5 counters. Aesop has 7 bats. Let's show 7 counters now. To see whether Aesop has more baseballs than bats, you can draw lines to match the counters in the top row to the counters in the bottom row. Let's draw the lines between the counters now. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are no more matches. Which group looks like it has more, the baseballs or the bats? The bat group has more. How do you know? You drew a line from each baseball to a bat. Each baseball was matched to a bat, and there were leftover bats. 7 is greater than 5, so Aesop has more bats than baseballs. Are there more black sheep or white sheep in the picture? Without counting, can you tell how many more white sheep there are than black sheep? No, they're all mixed together. You can make a picture graph like this one to help you find out. You can use counters to complete the picture graph. What does each counter for this graph show? Each counter stands for 1 sheep in the picture. First, drag red counters to spaces in the top row of the picture graph to show the number of black sheep. When you're ready, check your work. Great job! There are 4 black sheep. Each counter stands for 1 sheep. Next, drag counters to the bottom row to show how many white sheep there are. Great job! There are 3 white sheep. Are there more black sheep or white sheep in the picture? Right, there are more black sheep in the picture. 4 is greater than 3.
All right, we are really struggling with math on the spot today. It is not wanting to run. So we're going to just look at this and talk about this graph right here. It says use the picture graph to answer the question. Remember, each graph needs to have a title. This title says our favorite activity. Children were asked what their favorite activity was, whether it was reading, a computer, or sports. And each circle stands for a child. The question says how many children chose books or reading and computer. Well, we're going to have to count them up. Our keyword is and means to add. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 children chose computer and reading. So we would type there are 7 children.
Great work!
All right. Here you can see this is in your math book. What I'm going to be doing is I'm going to read the instructions to you. I'm going to read the math problems to you, and then I'm going to allow you to go ahead and go back and do the work. If you want to keep doing it with me, that's fine. Just press pause after each question so you can solve the problem and then go on with me. On page 581, that's 500s, 8 tens, and 1 1, or 58 tens and 1 1, you will see this picture, very similar to what we saw, very similar to what we would have seen on Math on the Spot. Asaph has 6 baseballs. He has 4 bats. Does he have more baseballs or bats? I want you to draw circles in your little graph here to show how many baseballs he had and how many bats he had. And then I want you to talk about, with a parent or a family member, which one had more and how do you know? And then circle your answer here. All right, moving on. Are there more black or white sheep in the picture? Make a picture graph to find out. Here is our picture. Here is our title, Sheep in the Meadow. Here are the things we are graphing, black sheep and white sheep. Each circle stands for 1 sheep. Here you can see they've already crossed out an X, and that's because they drew a circle here in the black. You don't have to necessarily cross them out as you put them in, but I like to do it. It helps me. And then there are more blank sheep. There's my 1 black sheep right there. Then I have another one. I crossed it out, but I need to make sure I put it in my graph. I'm crossing another one out. I need to make sure it's in my graph. Now I have 1, 2, 3 black sheep crossed out and 1, 2, 3 black sheep in my graph. Now the next are white sheep. I'm going to cross 1 sheep out and draw it. Cross another white sheep out and draw it. Cross it out, draw it. Cross it out, draw it. Cross it out, draw it. There are more white sheep. We can see that because there are empty spaces in the black. So we would write white. Okay, so that is what you're going to be doing with each of these. Now, the next one is going to be a little challenging. I think it'll be fun though. You could have your parents ask on Facebook or any platform, or if you're talking to family or you call friends, you need to find out if they prefer cats or dogs. We're going to fill out a graph that says our favorite pet. So you need to ask 10 friends or 10 people if they would rather have cats or dogs as pets. And each time they give an answer, you need to place that answer right in the graph next to the cat or the dog. Then answer your questions. How many children or people chose cats? How many children or people chose dogs? And which pet did more children or people choose? The next one, our favorite activity, same thing. You need to either call friends and ask them, or have your parents get on social media and ask for people to give their favorite activity, reading, computer, or sports. Then you're going to use the graph to answer these questions. How many children chose books or reading? How many children chose computer and sports? Which activity did the most children choose? Did all of the people, because we have to change it from classmates to people, make picture graphs that look the same? We're going to forget number 7 because they're not going to look exactly the same because you're all going to ask 10 different people. And number 8, write your own question about the graph. What do you wonder about the graph? What would you want to have answered by the graph? And number 9, look at the question you wrote and answer the question. That can be fun. All right. This will be a lot of fun. Have fun with graphing.